The people who pressed on with that American creed, yes, we can.
Yes, together we will make America
better.
All right, we are back with another episode of the
Unintelligent Intellectuals.
I almost said Indiligent.
Yeah, this is a close letter association.
Oh my god.
Oh man, did you hear about those Tim Dillon and the other comedian
Michael Che.
Yeah.
That's a good take. That's something. That's very recent.
Yeah. I didn't really explore it all. I just saw the one part where he's just like, Tim Dillon's like, "Oh, you're just an illiterate, or like a drunken illiterate, like trying to hack."
He it's so much more elaborate.
I just saw the part where he says that, and then Che says, yeah, true, but or something to that extent.
Because he said, I have sold more tickets than you, and then like da da da, and then he said, but you're not that bad for. Did he say something drunk? I felt like he used an adjective to describe it, but like okay. A complete drunk who can't read.
Yeah, something to that extent. Che was like, true. I was like, oh my god. This is ridiculous.
Well, he just had a special drop.
Okay. That's what it was
So
about.
some people are thinking that he might have gone after Tim because then it gets his name out there because everyone's going to be writing all these articles because Tim's big and he's big.
Yeah.
So then it's like this feud, and it's like rappers.
Yeah.
Whenever they got an album dropping, all of a sudden there's now a feud happening with them,
Yeah,
and then everyone knows about him, and then they want to listen to the album.
Yeah, I get that. Clever advertisement.
Or people just start reacting, and then they calm down.
But it's so weird that I mean, if that's true, then it's strange that they're using social media or just like words that way. Like they're just trying to snipe at each other just to not to be like at each other, but to be on stage in order to attract people to the platforms that they're on.
Comedians rarely ever do that.
Yeah.
If they trash somebody, it's because they think that they're a hack.
Yeah, that was like, oof.
They think they're a hack, or they hate them, or they're racist. There's a reason why comedians attack other comedians usually. Yeah. It's not usually to like get noticed for something that they're gonna produce.
Yeah, because I get more of the sense
because if it goes bad, then the whole comedy world's gonna shit on you. Be like, your shit
you're
sucks.
An asshole, dude. Like,
it's gonna have to be really funny. I don't know. I've never really listened to watch Michael Che's stand up.
Yeah, me neither. Che's alright. I don't know if he tickles my fancy. It doesn't seem like it.
I think it's his resting face.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't even watched Tim Dillon. I've seen Tim Dillon on the podcast Joe Rogan. I'm like, whoa, like, who is this guy? I thought he was like some like commentator or something. I had no idea.
He's a gay comedian from Staten Island.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I was like, wow, like this guy, the kind of stuff that this guy talks about, you would have never.
Who got famous from doing Meghan McCain impressions?
You were telling me that, yeah. I still haven't checked it out. I need to see it, man. But
it's a lot. He's dressed with a wig and makeup, talking about how he wants to fuck daddy.
Oh shit!
Oh fuck daddy! I'll fuck his corpse. That's what he says. Because this was post his death. He had died.
Oh shit! Yeah.
When he was doing her impressions.
That's intense. Yeah, you check him out.
He's trying to get Joe to do a podcast with the three of them.
Oh really? Oh, with Che and
no.
Oh,
with Meghan McCain.
Meghan McCain. How do you feel?
And he's like, do you think in the first 10 minutes I can be her in her talking to her?
Oh my god! Yeah, he's gonna bring a wig too. It's just hi, how's daddy?
No, that's only when he wanted to fuck the corpse. The rest, it was just him screaming at the microphone.
Oh god.
My father was a gentleman, and that's why he started 1,000 wars.
Yeah, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of brainwashing there. Oh man. I wanted to circle back to the stuff that we were talking about last time. I went back, looked at the J.K. Rowling book. I was like, oh man, like that's pretty wild. I didn't know
Oh, the
she.
transgender serial killer
Yeah.
book?
Well, funny enough, I mean, not that I
Holy
went
shit,
home
that
and
was a big fucking yawn. My bad.
yeah, I'll forgive you this time. But you watch it, bro. It's like that. But no, like the book, it doesn't have any transgender in it. It's about someone who cross dresses, who
Then that's what it is, a cross-dressing serial
yeah,
killer.
but the transgender community got really mad at her. So like, oh,
Because it's a
you're
slight jab
dating-
at them.
Yeah, yeah. And she's just like, and they're just like,
He's a man.
yeah. They're like, what? It's a cross dresser. Like people have been pointing out, like, no, there's nobody a transgender here. Like,
But there's a
that's really
history of
blasting.
serial killers having
being weird, like
well
that,
tendencies
so.
to wear female clothes and such like that.
Yeah, yeah. But I thought it was an interesting take because it was kind of like because the book is about this person who cross dresses in order to gain the trust or confidence of the people that they're about to murder. But it's like I thought it was like a cool thing, or like a role reversal a little bit, where it's like, okay, well, like you think I'm this person, or like I've showcased I'm this kind of person, like kind of like how people postulate that they're the good guy and they try to do all these right things, and then all of a sudden they get their claws in you and they get to do like whatever they want, like kill you or call you the bad guy or for whatever. It's almost like
Molest them.
yeah. It's almost like the way that I took it is like a sophisticated jab that J.K. Rowling was doing against the transgender community, and then if she wanted to paint it in that picture, not because like she had a transgender book like ha ha ha, but she knew they were gonna react to it, and it was kind of like a story that about what they're doing.
She did that on purpose. It probably sold well too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tranny's killing people. I'm in.
Magic. Oh man.
I have the magic to make my penis disappear.
Yeah. In your ass. Oh.
You ever think about the movie Johnny English?
What's that one again? I'm trying.
That's the weird. That's Mr. Bean.
Oh yeah. Like the spy. Yeah.
I heard somebody talking about what if the whole movie was just him getting anally raped. So he's just going
the whole time. The facial expressions. Yes. Oh my god. That's too raw. That's too raw. Come town. Yo.
Sorry, I was on a road trip recently.
Oh yeah.
Like it was like 3 hours, so like it wasn't that big of a deal. But
Okay.
I was listening to
Come town.
clips of Come Town the entire way, so I was entertained.
Shit, you have been doing a lot, man. You bounce all over the place.
I know. Very tired.
Yeah. I checked out Breakfast Club a couple times. I was like, yeah, let me just I gave it like a raw stab. I was like, to be fair, like I haven't really seen it. Like, let me poke around and yeah, most of it's shit. I'm not a fan. But every now and then they'll have like a host on that's just like a host.
It's
a
not
guest
like
on.
it isn't funny and that it isn't cool at times.
Yeah.
It's just when you start getting down to like real shit, we're not laughing and throwing our heads back, having a good time. Like when you're like, hey, it's time to get serious, the takes are so off.
Yeah.
It's like 70% of the time, it's like, people don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. Because if you're hit or miss every now and then, like, people, I think, are going to be more, like, forgiving. Because it's like, okay, all your takes aren't right.
Yeah.
But when it's like 75% of your takes are just like, you didn't even research this.
Yeah, you're just talking. Like I mean, I know that they're formulating thoughts in their head, but it's it's like the concept that they formulated exists outside of what the realities are. Like when Charlotte was talking about, oh well, if you do the right thing, then you won't have to worry about not getting elected again. It's like, well, politics.
It's
is
biased.
more,
It's biased. Not unchecked, but like non-reflective ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you reflect on your ideas, you're gonna like be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go this hard when this happens.
Yeah.
Because
It can't be this simple. Like
or I'm too emotional when I talk about this, so maybe I need to reel that in. But if like
Yeah.
you're doing the same mistake time and time again on the same topics,
And you know, like
you're just blaming other people. Like you're not even
Yeah.
looking at yourself. Maybe I should have a different viewpoint.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's better answers than the one I'm yelling about.
Yeah, like you're real confident that you have the right answers on all these things. It's like, oh man, like that's. But I mean, to be fair, it's like they're not really looking at things from different perspectives as far as.
It's too biased.
Yeah. Like nothing that really challenges their thought process. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have my take, say this funny shit, say this wild shit, and get a reaction, and it's gonna be popular. And yeah, it's like, oh, that was good, cool, and just keep doing it.
It'd be
So
just
it's-
like black philosophers. Like if you like have read or listened to, Booker T. Got Booker T. Washington. I said Booker T.
Oh yeah. I saw him on WrestleMania the other day.
Booker.
Yeah, no, I follow.
So Booker T. Washington, James Baldwin, Thomas Sowell, Cornel West, and like Eric Dyson. If you like listen to all those five, you're gonna have a much
more nuanced,
nuanced, well-rounded opinion. But if you're like, oh, I only will read James Baldwin.
But I mean, again, it's a radio host, so I mean, it's not end all be all, but it just sucks like when it's someone in that position, and it's like there's a lot of people in positions like that or platforms that are that huge with so many people following it, trying to make sense out of everything, and they like spew stuff that they in a certain kind of way with a certain level of confidence. People just like sitting there nodding their head and like without like reflecting on like, wait, is this real? Is this not?
Well, I think that's why the podcast world, everybody that blows up, you rarely. I mean, it's every now and then there's like some controversy, but their overall like takes aren't that crazy.
Yeah.
Like Alex Jones is wild with his conspiracy series, but if he doesn't talk about conspiracies and just talks about like regular shit that's happening, he's just rattling off like government programs that like nobody knows about that have been declassified, that have objectified all sorts of groups of people. Foreign governments, and then like he's like, this is terrible, and da 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 da. So like if you listen to that, like that makes sense. But outside of him, most podcasts, there's not too much biased. Maybe like a Crowder, because some of the conservatives are pretty biased, just because the liberals have most of regular media.
Yes, so it's kind of like a counter culture, like a reaction to that.
Instead of watching Fox News, they're listening to Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder.
Yeah, I follow. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, it's and even with them, it's like, all right, like you're serving this like niche, and like obviously some of the stuff like he'll go on campus and talk about stuff with unsuspecting, college students who are just like, oh, okay, I think I have an idea. I'm studying this, and they have like kind of half thought out concepts in their head that sound good and.
You said college students?
Yeah. And then it's like they sit down at the table and like they'll talk to him, and then like he'll just be like, no, that's not true. This isn't what it. And he's like all prepared for like this. Crowder, he's prepared for this conversation.
Oh, you're talking about the
Change my mind.
Change my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of a dick.
Yeah. Well, he's real like like if you're gonna dismiss a completely different.
Oh, he's like Fresh and Fit.
Yes. But for exactly. Kids. Yeah, exactly. It's all performative. Like on the stage, it's disingenuous. Not.
Well, I might say Kevin Samuels. See, the problem is that those kids, or the people that come and debate him, there is a level of arrogance where it's like,
right.
My facts are better than your facts.
Right.
Where he's coming from a standpoint of like, no, I have facts that back up, like that counteract what you're saying.
Right.
And you're just saying things. Yeah. Like you were saying that 3 out of 4 women are raped on college campuses, and I'm telling you that's
statistically inaccurate.
There are no studies that say that.
Yeah. And then at that point they're like, and that's why
I think it's like 1 in 22,000 or something like that.
I don't know this.
There was a recent one that came out, but the problem is that then people say, well, like, if you don't report it, then it didn't happen. So then but then they blame it on the patriarchal society. I'm like, okay, but like,
oh man,
you can't complain about an issue and then not address the issue, and then when people don't care about the issue, then and then if you bring up the issue and you're lying about the issue, there's no criminal charges for that, so you can just
Right.
accuse people left and right for sexual assault, and there's no blowback on you. So
Yeah.
now, like, there's too many factors at play for you to then turn around and be like, oh, well, it's just the system we're in. It's like, no, there's like a multitude of different factors as to why this isn't happening.
Right. It's kind of like,
Or why people don't believe you.
yeah, because like if you
Oh, it's
can
not
imagine,
that bad. It's like because it's.
Yeah,
I've been on a college campus.
like, clutching at the hey, you dropped the
Everyone has PTSD.
It's like Bill Brand say he was just like trust all women. It's like if you could imagine that.
He said something like, how about like 82%?
Yeah. So it kind of goes. Now
Because there are some that'll key your car and burn all your clothes in the front of people.
Yeah.
Because you didn't call her back or something.
So it's like if we can imagine that, which is 100% true, that people get raped and don't report it. There's also possibility and instances where people have been accused of rape and with not even like sketchy circumstances, not sure. It's like no, this person wasn't even here. Like they're just like.
What's that judge's name? Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Who gets raped and doesn't remember, one, the location of the rape?
It was all about so discombobulated.
She didn't know where I think she knew where the house was, but she didn't. I know she didn't know where it was in the house.
Yeah.
And then she didn't know who else was at the house.
Yeah, like others.
Or whose house, like. It was like weird. Like there was I think she knew where the house was, but she doesn't knew what house who it belonged to, and then she didn't know anybody at the party but Kavanaugh, and then didn't know where the assault took place.
Yeah.
Like if somebody raped me, I'm pretty sure I remember if it was like.
Yeah.
On a lawn chair, or if it was in a bathroom.
Yeah, it's like that's gonna be traumatizing experience.
I might know,
and then
I wouldn't be like, oh, it was the left room on the right with this or that.
Yeah, I don't want to expect you to be that accurate. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I was on a couch or something.
Yeah.
I would just have like no clue of where I was raped.
It's like she just came in, and that's
because you would at least remember where you woke up.
Yeah.
I guess it happened here.
Yeah, the realm of politics, like they play that game all the time, man. They're just like trying to.
The only thing that you knew was that he did it, and that was it.
Yeah. She came in with that, she was reading a script, and she was just like, "Oh, fuck, that's gonna be all the questions."
Yeah, then she claimed that she had PTSD and couldn't fly, but then she took a trip to Jamaica every 6 months for like 15 years.
Oh well, the PTSD only lasted 5 months. All right, like
it's like a 5-hour flight.
It happens in cycles, just for those instances.
That's why I had to go because that's why I always went to Jamaica because as soon as my PTSD had to go away, I had to take advantage of going on the trip.
But yeah, it's just like being stuck in an echo chamber and talk about things from a very specific standpoint. Like, I'm sure it serves its purpose. It's like when Jon Stewart was talking about, like, if you say things in an inflammatory way, and then what spawns from that is a good conversation that you get stuff accomplished. Like, I guess it ends up being a net positive. Because you're doing it in order to garner attention.
He's got a new show.
Yeah. I think the problem with Jon Stewart, I think it's what it's called.
What's it on?
I have it on Spotify. I haven't listened to it in a while.
Is it like a podcast or is it a show?
I listened to it, so but I don't know if it's an actual show. But he has some interesting stuff on there. But he was talking to this.
Because he's not like deranged.
No, not at all, man. And then over here, like now he's almost like
he's like Bill Maher, I think.
Yeah. I'd say for sure.
Like it's gonna be a liberal take, but like if it gets too wild, he's gonna be like, "Well, this is ridiculous."
Yeah. He's very He's very very much for talking about people without a voice, and like he was big on the firefighters or the first responders 9/11. I think the thing he's doing right now, he's fighting the people from the burn pits in Iraq, um, who like inhaled all those
Oh,
fumes
yeah,
and yeah, have all these bad health effects that nobody's really acknowledging. The VA is just denying it. So he's talking about a lot of cool stuff. And then like I think the last one I really listened to was talking to somebody um, about economics, and he was saying like how Walmart, for example, is exploiting their workers because like the Fortune 500 company, but then they at the same time the workers are on government assistance. So it's like if you can make so much of a profit margin and the growth is consistent year after year after year, how come the people who work for you, who are at the bottom level, aren't that don't have a livable wage? So he has like a lot of nice points, man. Yeah, I like the show. I haven't listened to it in a while. That's just because I'm lazy. But he had this when he was talking about like how you say things in a wild way in order to garner attention. It's like it's good if you lead to a good place, but the divisiveness in and of itself isn't good. In fact, it's like it's the thing that's dividing us more than anything. And so it's like I get it. I get people who do that for that purpose in order to just be divisive or just say wild shit just to be popular and all that jazz. But I'm not a fan just because it's like if you want to do the hard work to get it done, like at least like follow it through. If you want to say some wild shit and then or some really
Hop
biased
on a
shit
pogo
and
stick
then
and force
come
yourself
around.
to vomit while you do it.
Yeah,
One of those things.
exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Put some real effort into it.
Yeah. Stop bullshitting around, man. Pop on. So, yeah.
I'm so sorry. It's all coming.
You've been watching a lot of that or listening to a lot of that. Oh. But shit, that threw me all the way off.
Sorry. I ruined the entire direction of the podcast.
It's all over.
I need to stop watching fucked up shit.
Oh. Oh yeah. So like going back to because I don't think we finished talking about that episode with Charlemagne, the God's honest truth with the whole polygamy
There
monogamy
is something
thing.
that I think you want to touch on a little more.
Yeah.
And I will be more than happy to elaborate.
Oh yeah. So like yeah, like there's a part like I like I said I ended up watching it, but like at the beginning part he starts off like asking the chick, he was like, "Hey, so is monogamy okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with monogamy and all this jazz." I was like, "All right, cool."
But have you ever had two dicks up your ass?
Yeah, like the conversation throughout was pretty much, polygamy's a good.
I like dick.
Yeah, like in a very subversive way. She's like, yeah,
Mama likes her back blown out.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's it was interesting. Like she didn't really have any points. Like she had the one thing that like going back to people just saying stuff. It's like when she was just like,
it really just came off as just being sexual.
Yeah.
Or like a surface level thing. Like it didn't really come across
like as
being
in depth or like a reason behind why you do this versus.
No, it's very healthy
else.
to have all these connections with it. Like it's not like she was doing that. She was
just
like, oh, it's good to be open. It's like, all right, so you just get railed by other people. Just an open relationship. Stop making it look like it's something more than what it is.
Yeah, and it's crazy because
like it's some intellectual breakthrough.
Right, because like people have been talking about this for a long time. It's like you think like you're fresh on the scene. It's like
I know. See, that's why I hate young people.
Yeah.
Because every idea they have is like
I'm the smartest
they're the first person ever come out with it.
Yeah.
It's like it's just be swingers.
Fucking it's a community for you guys. Like it's okay. Yeah, like it was crazy because she was talking about like they were talking about that like or like the importance of a good relationship and I don't know, man. I put some clips together just because I'm just like it was too much for me to just like try to condense into my head. I have to just react to
Have
what
you
this
test
is.
trialed this?
Yeah, it doesn't come out real good, but I could kind of overlap.
Is the audio recording?
The audio won't record on this, but I could clip this the clip from here, and I could add it to the our audio as we're watching it over here,
In like a
and that way it'll be
timestamp?
like yeah. So that way it'll be happen congruently, and then yeah.
That's cool that you know how to do that.
Yeah, pretend to
Look at us
understand.
actually trying to put some actual production into this fucking thing.
Cut and paste. This is what it boils down to. It's not that sophisticated.
Okay, well I haven't attempted to do this, so I might as well be like someone's grandpa. Do you press start? Which one's the button to turn it on?
I don't get it.
I sounded drunk doing that one, slurring it a little bit.
Watching Rick and Morty.
This
too?
is one of those podcasts you go on.
No, now you sound like what's the guy from Family Guy? Hey, Chris,
Oh, I need to get a little bit older. Oh, Steve, I gotta get the whistle. I'm a mighty cute boy. Oh yes.
It's impressive, man. Just right in there with the Steve-O dick suck thing. Oh man. Here we go. That being said,
Yeah, I've done enough therapy to know that my ego is way too fragile for that. So how,
Yes,
yeah,
just for knowing yourself.
So how do you overcome and manage the feelings of jealousy when you're in these non-monogamous situations?
I don't think jealousy ever goes away. And I think it's important to know if you can't manage the feeling, then don't even partake in these relationships or go to therapy with your partner, see if you can.
Now, what does a healthy non-monogamous relationship look like?
I think it looks like a healthy monogamous relationship. I think in relationships, we focus a lot on the to-do list rather than the to-feel list, which is something that my friend Hey gave me. But a to-do list is, you're gonna come home at this time, you're not gonna like someone else's pictures, you're only gonna have eyes for me, you're not gonna step out in the relationship. A to-feel list is, I wanna feel celebrated, I wanna feel sexy, I wanna feel like my opinion matters, my dreams matter, I wanna feel like I am honored in this relationship. And whether I am with you and several people or just you, that to-feel list is what's most important. So if you are in a monogamous relationship and don't feel that way, it's not healthy. If you are in a non-monogamous relationship and again, you don't feel respected and celebrated and honored and sexy, then it's not a good relationship for you.
Wow.
You know,
so
Well, that makes sense though,
Yeah.
to an extent.
it does. No, 100%. But the
Except
thing,
for celebrated. I hate the word celebrated.
yeah. Like I'm 100% for it. But the
I
thing
hate
is,
when people talk about celebrating. I'm not gonna celebrate. Who are you?
you're home. You're home now. You're home. Let's do it.
No,
Yeah.
it's the queen king mindset.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
if you want to feel like top dog. You want your significant other to.
yeah, but if
make you
you're not
feel,
top dog,
uh,
my whole thing with the king and queen thing is that like, it's a title for a reason.
Mhm.
It's special.
Yeah. Well, and also the thing with like the king and queen thing, like it's not like the thing with king and queen, like the way that the subjects treat a queen is different than the way the king treats the queen, and same thing vice versa. The way that subjects treat the king isn't the same way that the queen treats the
No,
king.
but it's the king and queen thing where it's like, oh, like this is my king. Oh, this is my queen.
Yeah.
Not everybody's a queen.
Yeah.
Not everybody's a king. Like that's why I said like it's a title for a reason. It's because it's assigned to you because of what you accomplished or for with the queen standpoint for who you're with.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like you have to earn that title in with whatever relationship.
If somebody
you're
wants
in.
to like jokingly do the king, like yeah, sure, but I mean like I'm not a king.
I mean, I could see like everybody wanting to be in a relationship at some point where you are looked at or applauded as this level of like, oh, you like what I'm doing so much that you see me as your king.
Yeah, but it's
I
always
get
an
that.
over exaggerated point that then creates different expectations that are always going to be let down.
Well, like it's interesting. Like when I think about king and queen, it's like, all right, like you're over here, like your job is so much bigger than me, and like you're out here doing all these things, which is cool, and I appreciate because it's definitely benefits me. and I see you doing these things, and you're busting your ass. Now I'm here to support you doing these things. That's what king queen is. It's like yo, you're gonna go through some hard shit, and it's gonna be like there's a whole world outside of here that you're exposed to that requires you, needs you, and I can look at you with reverence for like your position in the world in relation to everybody else. But like I also know it's gonna be some tough shit, and I'm gonna help you through that tough shit. But it's not like you're gonna come home and I'm gonna celebrate every oh yay, yeah, you're home, yay, you pissed me off, yay, haha, now we're fighting, woo, like nah, it doesn't it doesn't make sense. But like so, I mean, I'm not so upset with the celebrated thing. I mean, even like everything she said, like it fits like relationship wise. If we were just talking about relationships in general, which they kind of worded like, oh, it's like a non-monogamous relationship, a good one, good non-monogamous one looks like a good monogamous one. I was like, yeah, okay, solid points, but
But it's a baseline of feelings, which are based off of emotion, which can be wrong.
I follow what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, I see it, but like the way that I was looking at it was I wasn't even looking at it from that side. Like I don't know, let's dice into that.
Oh, I can go
But,
into many levels.
but the thing is, like,
She said something nice. That's all she did.
well, the thing is that the thing that she said nice has nothing to do, makes no distinction between the benefits of the way that she sees it of being in a polygamous relationship versus being in a monogamous relationship. She's not making any kind of distinction. She's just saying like, oh yeah, well I want to feel these things. I don't want to be tied down by all these assumptions.
No, she's saying that as long as the dude's fulfilling her feelings, then she's cool with him doing something else with another person.
Yeah, well, I think in her relationship, and like, and if that's where she's coming from, it's like, all right, like that's
I think that might be what she's trying to say. I don't know.
Well, she kind of said, I don't know if her husband sleeps around or if she would be okay with that. But she said like, oh, he goes out there. But she was like, she said that, oh well, like if he was the type to like just go around like that, and like yeah, I wouldn't be a big fan. But she said that she's in a relationship with somebody else outside of her. I don't know if it's husband or the person that she has a
I think
child
it's a
with.
husband.
Yeah, but it's I just it sounds. Maybe she wants the stability, and she also wants to do this, and it's like and like even if it goes both, if she's okay with it both ways, both avenues, it's like yeah, like I get that, and that's super healthy, and I think that's how a lot of swinger couples and people in polygamous relationships in general, even polygamous marriages, that's how they feel like yeah, like I still feel like hey, like your relationship with me is separate from your relationship with this other person. But
no, the swingers, it's just a man and a woman that both view sex as just an activity and has nothing really more than that.
yeah, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, we just like to have fun on Friday nights, and that's the entertainment.
And that's why it's easy for them to like be rational.
I see what you're saying. They're like you going back to what you were saying before about emotion. They're disassociating.
Now, obviously, if you're a swinger and then or if I'm married and me and my wife are swingers, but then behind her back, I'm like communicating with this completely other person that I met on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm cheating because now like she's gonna be pissed off because I'm trying to like dude, if we're just like we're all in agreement that like you're just gonna get me open, I want you to give me a blowjob right here in front of all these people, and this is just a random person who I don't know. It's such a disassociative thing in their minds that it's not that big of a deal. Whereas other people who view sex in a particular way or are uncomfortable with it, then they're like, "Oh my God, how could you do it?" It's like, no, because I'm not thinking of it like in these moments. It's not being viewed like that.
Yeah. So it's like so I see that disassociation, but I'm like this episode is they're talking and exploring this whole idea with polygamy and all that jazz, but they're not really talking about the how it like the benefits or the differentiate. Like, why did you choose this lifestyle versus that? She's kind of like, I like it, but she's not really saying like, oh, this is what's good or this is why it's good.
Have you seen the dick out there?
Yeah. Essentially, it's just like,
girl, you better try my chicken.
but yeah, like I kind of understand like what you were saying before when you're like the perspective of from your perspective how this is kind of like a meaningless conversation because they're not really talking about the family structure like they're pretending to, but they're not really
Well,
talking
she's
about
not
the
going into
benefits of
detail, and then Tyson, no, Michael,
Dyson.
Dyson,
Yeah.
Dyson isn't like he's not trying to take a stance one way or the other, and he's trying to make everybody happy.
Yeah, like, he kind of like, and you could kind of tell like he's not like a big fan of it, but he kind of like he's like just like
No, because
poking-
if he critiques it now, he's slut shaming and
Right,
he's doing all
right.
this other
So
shit.
yeah, so he's
So
just
because
like,
he's a bitch.
yeah, so damn. I'll,
Because he does it, he never has a strong stance against anything that's like overly liberal.
well, yeah, it's crazy because he takes a really strong stand, like the things that he feels passionate about, like he really rails in, like he's really like passionate about like critical race theory, and we'll jump into that later.
I
But it's
saw him
like,
do a 3-hour debate about like white privilege and like gender
yeah,
pronouns.
yeah, like he's really hardcore, like he's really calm.
I
So
was like, what are you talking about, man?
and over here, like maybe it's because he's a minister, or maybe
They
because
just ruled
he's
against
trying
that in Loudoun County.
of the gender pronouns or this.
They ruled
critical-
against it in the gender pronouns.
Okay. Oh yeah, man mandating is kind of crazy.
The reason why they said it could lead to mischief.
Oh boy.
That was the actual wording. It could lead to potential mischief.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Which I mean is accurate because then you're gonna have some asshole kid who's gonna be like, I'm zigzag, and
Yeah, and somebody's gonna.
and they're gonna be like, I'm not gonna call you that. And like, you have to.
Yeah. Big old dude. You gonna call me ma'am? Oh no. People just gonna
It's
use
ma'am.
it. I mean, there's definitely some people who like really like
Step outside, and I'll show you, ma'am.
really feel that way. But I think there's definitely some people who like willing to utilize it as another avenue just to fuck with people, and that's not that's not cool. But it's like even with this thing, it's like he's kind of like he's like, oh, I'm open to all different kinds of thing, whatever works for you, like he's open to that kind of stuff. He's like, yeah, but he's like, you could tell he's kind of not a fan or not.
He's not open to it.
Yeah. Like I mean, he's trying to like he's saying like he's accepting of
Not
it, but
trying
he's
to
kind of
disrespect
like
the sister.
yeah. But he's like, but then he starts poking a little bit. He's like, yeah, but I wonder what it's like.
You need to
in
make
this
sure that the
situation."
home life is like, if you don't get the fuck.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. So I mean, if it's like if like maybe it's for the benefit of the family, like she's not making that argument. Like
What if it's for the culture?
for the union? It just doesn't make any sense, man. It's just because she doesn't make the argument about
It's
it
just
being
worse.
better for the
It's just
family.
worse coming from a black woman.
Yeah,
At least to me, it's like,
not follow.
get your shit together. Like,
Yeah, we'll see like how she feels about it later down the line. But it's just like I don't know. Like everyone's different. Like yeah, different people like find happiness in different ways. But it's like what she's advocating for. Like she's
The
talking
problem
about
is
it
that-
without really.
the problem is that she's a woman that's just cute.
Mm.
People don't put
Sells-
down. People don't
sells.
put down people don't put down good-looking women.
Mm. Yeah, and also like I think Eric's.
Their views
he's
don't get
trying to-
challenged enough. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and he's trying
It's
to
like
promote a book too.
If Chris Evans wants to come out and start talking about stuff, like we are all gonna promptly tell him to shut the fuck up. Like I don't give a shit about your cheekbones. Like
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here.
Get your cute ass out of here, America's ass. But it's like I don't know. She's not taking a solid stance. Like what? Like she's saying she's for this, but she's not like saying it's good for the family. She's not saying, oh, it makes me happier doing this way, or like this is where I'm really seek enjoyment, or this is just introducing a different lifestyle that is beneficial for these reasons. Like she's not really introducing that. She's just
Because
like
she doesn't know how to. I don't think.
yeah. But then it's crazy. Like she's real well spoken and it's like at least like when she's punching out these lines, it's like
No, because everything is based off feelings. It's not based off facts. She didn't formulate her argument because she thinks that she's right, and because she thinks that she's right, she doesn't have to convince other people.
But it's crazy because even if that's how she feels, she's not explaining why she feels that way.
But
So it's
that's
like even
no, but
even
that's how it all is now, right? It's like I got into an argument with somebody on gender pronouns, not off the valid, like not off like whether they were right or wrong, and I just said like from like a communicating standpoint, tell me how that makes sense for it to for like it doesn't make it easier for us to communicate or better for us to communicate if we just allow everybody to have their own gender pronoun. So I was saying like it's not about like whether or not that's true or not. It's just from a practical standpoint, it's unbelievably impractical.
Right, and it's not like you're walking around like, "Hey, what's up, Sam?" Like no one like I mean I can't say
They,
no
they
one
didn't
said
want
that,
it. They couldn't answer it. They didn't really answer it, and then they still believed it. And I was like, this is absurd.
Yeah, boy. Yeah,
Because
they feel like they're right. So
no, but everything is based off feelings now.
Yeah, but at least
It's just like the Capitol riots.
Yeah,
There are people that talk about black people getting arrested, and they're saying like, I mean, look at the Capitol riots. They were able to do everything. It's like, yeah, the Secret Service and the Capitol Police did all that investigation. They're literally like driving out to Montana and like handcuffing people and pulling them out from their houses.
Yeah.
Like there's dozens of people that have been arrested and are going to go to jail.
Right. It's like, yeah, we want vandalism is still a crime.
There's actually probably more people that got arrested from like the Capitol riot than any of the other riots where like property was stolen.
An interesting statistic. Yeah, that would be interesting to check out.
Like take Ferguson, right? How many people that robbed that liquor store? I mean, there was a famous liquor store that got robbed just because it was. They like actually caught it like before like it happened.
Yeah.
There was like a camera there, and then they showed like I don't. You probably saw it.
Yeah. Before and after, yeah.
How many of those people do you think got arrested? I honestly would guess that none did.
Yeah.
Just because they just were throwing it up to like, well, all this chaos was going around, like.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
We'll make sure that like property damages are taken care of.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a tax credit or alleviation where they don't have to pay the property tax if they own that business.
They got insurance and
like, there's probably like something going on with the local government in that business.
Yeah, but in terms of holding the people
But I doubt anybody was arresting people stealing the liquor. Like.
Yeah, not held to the same kind of even though it's the same crime, vandalism, theft, like
well, a lower degree because like the Capitol is a representation of government and all of that.
Right.
And it's a federal building, so like there's that.
Right, very true.
But just like a local liquor store, I doubt there was any real push.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they might recognize the people that already have warrants.
Yeah.
And maybe they got him with that because they're like, oh, well, we now know that this person's around. Maybe. But I doubt there was any, like, they weren't dumping in, like, hundreds of hours of overtime to get these people. They probably just, like, threw it up as a loss and moved on. Whereas, like, the Capitol riots, it's like, no, they have unlimited funding. And
a year later, we're still talking about it. So it's like, I don't know if they're still talking about the looters of the in terms of trying to bring them to justice.
Oh yeah, no,
a year
not at
after
all.
the fact. Yeah, that's a good point.
That person walked calmly through a hallway and took a selfie. It's disgusting. The funniest picture I ever saw was the double single file line going into the Capitol when they broke in.
Oh, really?
They walked single file in two lines side by side and walked in. It was so organized. Jeez. And they were like, look at the chaos. It's terrible. And I'm like, they look like they're going to see a tour.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, maybe it's like you said. It's like, oh, since it signifies so much more, they feel the need to hammer it down appropriately. So yeah, but to compare that the feeling of the upset that people have with that versus the Ferguson thing.
People were trying to burn down federal buildings in Portland.
Yeah, that didn't warrant the same level.
They were shooting like commercial fireworks and like throwing Molotov cocktails. And
Yeah.
like they were literally trying to destroy the building.
Yeah.
And everybody, like nobody looked at that and was like, dozens of people shooting commercial grade fireworks at federal officers. That's cool. These people breaking some windows and taking selfies is like the worst thing to ever happen to civilization.
Yeah, I think it's because of what it. Yeah, like they were just upset with the whole process because of the fact Trump was like, no, I didn't lose the election. And then it's like on top of that, then the people can't. I think they don't like that he's wielding that kind of influence, or that there's people who are willing to go through those lengths in order to advocate for him. So that's what was uncomfortable. But if it's just like, oh, people who are just angry about what they deem as legitimate, they're just like, oh yeah, burn it down. Sorry, it's just a building. But if it's
nothing to see here.
Yeah. If it represents something that they don't like, if it represents something that they feel is incorrect, then it's like, all right, now it's more of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big issue, man. I don't like that shit at all. It's almost like even it's like if I disagree with Sam Harris on certain things, like I understand what he's trying to do, he sees like this dogmatic kind of behavior as bad. And I just think it exists outside of religion. So I think he's like misplaced in his where he's aiming his or trying to hit his target at. But like people like worship like the political parties more to a certain extent more than they do like traditional religions nowadays. It's like if you're against any of these party platform lines, then it's like, oh, like you're evil. Like I have to stop.
I just don't understand how people like are big fans of like random politicians.
Yeah. Oh, like I could see like that they say something, they're electrifying. It's like, oh wow, I really appreciate they said something, and it makes me feel a certain kind of way.
Kamala Harris has like a very let me go to someone else.
Yeah. I'm about to say, yo,
Bernie
she's
Sanders.
not doing good at all right now. Yo.
Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah, she has like the lowest approval rating than like Bush or Trump ever did.
No, she has. I think her approval rating is like at Cheney level, like Dick Cheney.
It's dropped to 22%.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, holy shit. What were we gonna say about Bernie?
Like Bernie, like you were saying, it's charismatic. Like
yeah.
So he's this guy who's been around a while. He also has connections to civil rights movements.
Yeah.
He's run as an independent. He's been a Democrat. Like he's got like these little like nuanced things about him where it's like I don't have to like or agree with anything that he has to say, but like I can understand why people would be like,
yeah,
I like Bernie.
Yeah.
Like it would make sense to me, but like. If somebody turning around and being like Rick Santorum or like Elizabeth Warren or like the beacon of hope that America needs, I want to like look at them and be like, someone needs to execute you. Like who wakes up and says Rick Santorum is the future?
Yeah. I'm not.
Like I would rather Dick Cheney.
Damn.
I would rather Dick Cheney be the president.
Jesus.
At least he knows how to harness power.
Fair. little Kissinger action. Oh man. Yeah. I think people just everyone has a favorite sports team. Like you just vote for it. You got the big popular ones.
They're a horrible team.
Yeah.
It's like somebody jumping up and down saying, "My God, I can't believe how much I love the fucking Jets."
Yeah.
And they live in Alabama. It's like, do you have any connections to New York? You're choosing the Jets.
All my life, you're right here. Mama said.
Nobody in your family likes the Jets. No one's from New York. Like, there's no grandfather in thing going on here. You just really like the Jets.
Yeah, just went outside, saw a plane, and I was like, yeah, the Jets, that's what it is. Stop jabbing at Alabama. But yeah, no, I feel you, man. It's like it doesn't seem like you can understand the fervor for somebody who's overly charismatic and has solid ideas for the future versus
Just a person. I'm like the personality, like Andrew Yang.
yeah.
Right? Like, he's not the greatest candidate. He's kind of a failure at this point when it comes to like politics. But like, it makes sense why he has a following.
Yeah.
There's some genuine things there. He's got the history of being in the Obama administration, and
Right.
he's had some interesting thoughts and stuff like that. And like, okay, well, like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it how like 3% of the party would vote for you or something
Yeah.
like that. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you see other people and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all different kind of people, but like, yeah, I definitely don't have the capacity to understand.
Like the fanhood of it. They're like,
Everybody.
oh, wow, how could you say anything negative about Nancy Pelosi? It was like, someone who's been in politics for like 4 decades and is worth $50 million. I could find a couple things.
Yeah. A couple millions of things. You
Like, how did that happen?
you hear about the senator? I think his name was Burr, who he like cashed out. Like they found some transcripts of when he cashed out of the market right before everything started shutting down. He was talking about
Is it William Burr or something like that?
something like that. I couldn't tell you the first name. I would lie. I
Okay.
did lie, but I know it's Burr. But he was they called him on a phone call, and I don't know why they were listening to the phone call. I guess it was part of the prior investigation, but or he's online with the broker or on the phone with the broker, and he's like and then he ends up cashing out of a couple stocks, and then he like calls his brother-in-law and like a 50-second conversation, and then the brother-in-law proceeds like to immediately call his broker and they cash out on the same stock, and then he's out here and he's advocating like, oh, everything's okay, it's not going to be that bad with before the shutdowns and all that. It's like, oh, we'll get back to normal, like we're just going to handle this thing, and then all of a sudden the economy started tanking and that stock folded. And his money's safe and his brother-in-law's money's safe, but yeah. So
But I'm sure that happens all the time.
yeah, he's just the sacrificial lamb.
He just
He's-
somehow gets caught doing it.
Yeah, he's the Oliver North for right now, but yeah, I'm sure that's a regular thing. I mean, the fact that, like you said, all these politicians who are in there for decades are worth X amount of money, and at all these benefits for companies that have nothing to do with their constituency. It's kind of strange, like how much they're there to bat for these guys and not.
Well, I think Russell Brand said that while you're an elected politician, you shouldn't be allowed to trade.
That would make sense. And like even
But they're still gonna.
there'll be ways around. They'll be like they'll get their
Their
immediate
families are gonna do
family
it.
members.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or friends and like have accounts off somewhere, but yeah, it's fucked up how that works out. Ugh. Weird Dogma. God damn it. Not a fan. But just getting through, see if there's anything else I wanted to say about this shit. Nothing really comes to mind. I'm just, oh shit, I forgot about it. You see the baby with his
I don't know what the fuck's happened. So what happened?
Well,
This
like-
chick swung at him.
Yeah, apparently, like she tried to attack him, and then like he tried to.
I know she's got two
assault
charges.
charges, yeah. And then he said something about like wanting her out the house, or those were apparently rumors. But I don't know. But then he was on Instagram Live and he was talking about how you like this lady's crazy. Like she's and it's like you're a certified side piece. It's just and then people were exploding off of that, like for one way or another. Like, oh man, you the guy who's there and he's doing all this stuff, and you let him do all this stuff, and he's there with you, and then she published a bunch of like receipts, so to speak, like of how she's not a side piece, of like how they were together and they
Yeah,
did
but
all
he's
this
just talking
stuff.
shit.
Yeah, he was
Like,
upset.
I just don't understand. Like,
He was upset at what happened, and then so he's talking shit on.
like I'm a typical white guy. Like I've gotten in arguments with my parents. Oh, like fuck you. Like
I'm a typical black guy. I would be dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I thought that.
So I like said horrible things
No,
to
but I
like
hear
my
you.
mom. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You like,
It's
it's an emotional response to what's going on. It's not
I'm
necessarily...
agitated and pissed off, and my mom's not listening, or she's mad and she's getting under my skin, and I'm not. I'm too immature at the time, and I'm doing this, that, and the other, and then like I don't really want my mom to like go fucking get hit by a car. Like
Right. But he
that's
used to say
absurd.
something- Yeah, and that's something everybody can relate
Robert,
to.
you go shove it up your ass. I don't want you to shove something up your ass.
They're like, oh, anal bees for life, bro.
So obviously he's pissed off that some chick swinging at him, so he's gonna
say
disrespect
some
her.
stuff, yeah,
And he's
yeah.
gonna call it, because what's disrespectful? You ain't a main bitch. You a side piece.
Yeah,
You something
yeah.
that I fuck and don't even give a shit about. That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Then like, oh, I got the receipts, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, it's like, all right, that's just cute. All right,
they fighting.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because like he was I think like allegedly he's like messing around with his other baby mamas or
not
something like
surprised.
that. But it's like, yeah. So
It's just some. It's just a dude from an environment and has now got a lot of money. Like it doesn't. He doesn't then become like a doctor. Like,
Solid point, man. Yeah. So it's just
Cromartie, the former NFL player, he got 12 kids with 7 different women.
yeah. He can afford it.
Well, not anymore because he's retired.
Yeah, yikes.
But
Yeah,
but
I mean,
like,
if you're in the
he didn't-
limelight like that,
But he didn't do that because like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck this shit up. Like
Yeah.
he just was acting messy and continued to act messy because that's how he was gonna act.
Yeah.
And then it resulted in what it resulted in.
Yeah, I mean, you're on TV. You making these big plays. You're athletically fit. Somebody's gonna want you.
No, I mean, it doesn't, I'm saying it doesn't change the environment from where he came from, where that was going to be his mindset.
Right. And then it's like, since his status changed, I'm saying that like people are throwing.
Or the culture that surrounds it.
Yeah.
Like an athlete culture, and then you got the money, and you're young, so it's
right.
like, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to do X, Y, and Z.
Right. And then like that, yeah. Then this is
Where-
sometimes the result.
Where if like he grew up in like upper middle class home and like went to Harvard and played football there and got in
You'd
the
have
NFL,
an idea of
he'd
what
probably
to
be
watch
like,
out for.
he'd be like,
Yeah.
I ain't having more than 1 or 2 baby mamas. Like
yeah.
he might have like a failed relationship, and then there's a kid with that, but he's getting women pregnant that he's like in a relationship with.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to go raw on like 80 million chicks when I got all this bread. It's like, no, I could lose that money. So
Yeah.
I'm going to hold on to it.
This is an issue. Yeah.
But he's from a more reckless environment.
Yeah.
So he's going to behave recklessly.
Right.
So I don't understand why people get upset.
Yeah.
Or a black man, like DaBaby, when he said some homophobic, quote unquote, shit. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you mean a black
rapper
man
from
from
the inner city is saying some wild stuff about the homosexuals?
has a hot take on homosexuality?
Wow. I wonder if anybody's ever done a mashup like in
And
response
the same
to
thing you would say about like white people. It's like rural Texas, some guy says faggot. It's like,
Yeah.
like
No way.
that actually
How
lines up. Now,
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
he doing with that word? Like
Right,
with those
like,
things? Like
Is he at cross burnings and stuff like that? Like, no. But,
is he like at the gay pride parades, like screaming slurs at people, or is he just casually using the word because he doesn't give a shit?
Yeah. That's just synonymous with like, oh man.
It doesn't mean that it's right, but it like
Yeah.
explains it. Like you shouldn't be shocked. You should be
Yeah.
like, oh no, that's like.
Yeah. Like, and some people say that it has nothing to do with that community. Like, it's just like a nice, like, You little bitch. Like, not because I think you're an actual female dog. It's like because like I'm just trying to call you out. Like I'm just trying to make you feel bad.
Not because you're actually a dog.
But yeah, but it's like people feel a little whatever kind of way. It's like they're reacting to how they feel as opposed to what the facts of this are, like fleshing out like, oh, here goes another lover's quarrel, trouble in paradise. You know, rappers and baby mamas like going through shit, like, oh man. But like he said, some other stuff like it's kind of interesting how like out of all the stuff that he said, like that's what we're focusing on. Like he also said like that kind of caught my eye. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there for my kids regardless. I was like, I thought that was something.
It's
cool.
an Instagram live video. Who gives a shit?
Hey, I'm not on social media like that. I don't fucking know.
But the whole point of what like those going live is like
trying to showcase in front of everybody.
No, the type of people that do that. Like you're either doing it because you're trying to interact with your fans.
Yeah.
Or you're doing it because something funny's happening.
Yeah.
And you're that type of channel or that type of whatever site you're on with it. Like
yeah.
You're the thing where like we're out here partying, da 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 da. It's showcasing shit, or you're ignorant.
Yeah.
You're ignorant. You're not intelligent. You're not smart. You're very dumb.
Yeah.
Those are the only type of people that do lives.
Yeah, I follow.
You're doing a Kevin Samuels thing where like I'm going live, you're calling in, we're gonna do our thing and figure this out, and I'm gonna ask you questions and we're gonna talk.
Yeah.
It's that, or it's showing the clout, or like having fun with everybody and your fans, being like, yo, I'm in Miami, or, I'm gonna be at this place. Come on out, like this is crazy. Look who I ran into. It's so and so. Like it's or it's just someone who's really really ignorant.
Yeah, I think it was the what he was doing, kind of the second thing, because like after everything that was happening, he was just like, all right, well, I want to speak directly to you guys, the fans, and like to let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And Danny's in the back, like just going crazy. He's like, all right, like see this? Yeah, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This chick's crazy. Yeah, side piece, like I'm gonna take care of my kid. I'm gonna do me, so he's just like kind of like showcasing, like I'm a good guy. Like this is what it is. It's like.
But that's what I'm saying. Like going live, it's like anybody who's not going to edit their content before putting it out isn't very smart.
Yeah, or incredibly confident.
But they're usually not smart. Because it's like, why even take the risk?
Yeah, no.
Because some like comedians will go live, like it's like, oh, I just landed in New York. I'm gonna be at the Beacon Theater or whatever. I don't know if that even is in New York, but like,
I can tell you. Yeah.
I'm gonna be at Caroline's. Like, come through Friday night. Like, if you've already bought tickets, this is great. I love you. Like, this is gonna be a great thing. Boom! It's like, you're going live to like promote.
Right.
So anybody who goes live and like is trying to talk, they're stupid. Like they don't have anything to really add. Like something bad's gonna happen.
Let's just see. Like it was. I thought it was like more self-serving. It was just like, all right, like let me just.
Well, people get cases for going live.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
All the time. Think about it.
Not enough hours in the day for me to just.
I'm coming through on such and such. You know what it is. Fuck out of here with all that bullshit. Clack, clack, clack. And they got guns. They got $15,000 in cash. And the cops are like, bet. Bet.
Yeah,
where are you going?
Yeah. Oh, you see so-and-so? Yeah, he's going to
This person just got out 6 months ago for attempted murder, and they've got guns and cash.
That's right. You know what it is. Count the Monte Cristo, motherfucker. Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. Wow. I get that. Holy shit.
The NFL got in trouble when they were, a couple of teams got in trouble. So when they were trying to combat the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, where I think it was like Say Their Name campaign or something like that, where they would put like the names of people in like the cities, right? I forget which. I think it was out of Chicago. This kid had like videos of him on live discharging firearms as he drove through communities.
Oh my Fucking God, are you serious?
Yeah, like and he wasn't like, I mean, he could have been high or something, but like he seemed like
I
he
don't
was.
give a shit.
He
Y'all
seemed
been-
no, but I'm saying he seemed like he was just kind of clouting, like, yo, fuck these motherfuckers, you know what it is, and he just go. They were driving like 30 miles an hour, and he's just going pop, 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 pop. And there's like just houses and like apartment buildings.
Yo, like you can't even discharge. You can't even
No, but,
shoot into the
but he
air,
got
like...
shot by a cop. And so everybody was like, wait, this is the person say their name? Like,
Oh my
open
God.
firing into communities?
We gotta protect Black lives.
Yeah, so then, no, it was Pittsburgh.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So or no, maybe it was Philadelphia.
Oh.
But no, I think Pittsburgh had it. Pittsburgh
I know.
Pittsburgh had the name, I think it was.
The lesser New York.
Or maybe it was somebody else. Because there was like 2 or 3 where this happened.
Yeah.
Because I know the co-captain for the Pittsburgh Steelers like took the name off and then like apologized.
Yeah, because he probably didn't know about it. He was just like, oh yeah, this.
I think it was a
This is a
different
movement.
situation. The guy had pulled a knife and like was trying to stab cops, and then he got shot. So then he took the nameplate off and apologized. Like, we shouldn't be
I didn't
respecting
know
somebody like
about-
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was black, and he was like, we shouldn't have done.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool. I mean, like, you know, people make mistakes. It's like, you know, if you feel
But
a certain kind of way, it's like, oh, I'm doing this because I feel this kind of way. And someone explains, like, hey, man, this is who this guy is. And you're just like,
Yeah, but those
oh, shit, my bad.
but those mistakes never get the justification of what they should,
Yeah,
because the damage is already done.
it does. Yeah, I agree. I think it's, especially if you're trying to hold somebody's,
Like the whole Michael Brown thing, like that's
Yeah.
still considered to be like a martyr.
yeah.
Whereas like from the evidence and the eyewitness accounts,
Yeah.
it's doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Not the
That-
outstanding side.
That he assaulted somebody, then was walking in the middle of the street, was confronted. A police officer told him not to do that. Then got in a conversation with that cop, and then went for his gun, ran away, and then pulled it and was like stop, and then he turned and then ran back at the
Oh.
officer and then was shot.
Yeah, I'm
See that's the problem. Man. Like
Yeah.
the names that you know are the ones that are questionable.
yeah.
Whereas like loose cigarettes,
I mean, there's some that I know
you
that's
choked
like,
someone
oh, shit.
out and gave them a heart attack for a loose cigarette.
Yeah, like all right.
Who was just saying like, "Hey man, what's going on?" Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't even threatening.
Yeah. that's
We
that's a
don't.
little
Me
thing.
and you don't know his name, but
Yeah.
we know the Michael Brown name, and that's like cloudy
Yeah.
at best.
And then I know Tamir Rice, like that was real fucked up. Like he was a little 11-year-old kid who like he was playing with a BB gun, and BB guns look very real. But the thing is that the cop just that just drives by, doesn't even get out of his car, and just like bam bam shoots the 11-year-old kid.
Or was he aiming it at his car?
No.
I forget these stories.
Yeah, this was a while ago, but I mean, there's
That's at least 4 years ago, I think.
maybe more. But yeah, I mean, there's bad shit that happens. Like there's some that are legitimate, some that aren't. But yeah, no, I follow what you're saying, like about the whole.
Well, because it's all about narratives.
Yeah, like if you want it to fit a certain kind of.
Like if every time a black person gets shot, you say that it's bad, but then you end up looking at it and like 90% of them are okay. That would change the mindset of people.
Yeah, and I think it's important to like look at things like circumstantially. Like I understand that
there's so many interactions with cops. Like I don't think people do not know how many people are killed by cops.
Yeah.
They either underestimate it or they overestimate it. They're like, oh, like tens of thousands of black people being killed a year by cops. I'm like, no, it's like 300. Like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's.
I think it's statistically. I think it's very underestimated. I think they're very like underscored. But yeah, and I know some
I'm
people
saying
exaggerate.
how people think. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
either
yeah.
saying like, oh, well, no one gets shot by cops, or they're saying like, oh, it's crazy. Like thousands of black people are being murdered by cops.
Yeah.
It's like it's a couple hundred.
Yeah, I follow. Yeah,
Just like people think that white people don't get killed by cops.
Yeah.
I was explaining this to someone else. They were like, yeah, but white people don't get killed by cops. I'm like.
I mean,
I was like, look it up. I'm like, don't listen to me. Look it up. And they looked up, and they were like, damn, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, that's like hundreds more than black people. I'm
Right?
like,
Yeah. Numerically, it's more. Like the thing is, percentage-wise, it's higher for black people.
you could have a black person every week
Mm-hmm.
being showcased like oh, they're murdering us.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of these situations are like, no, that person put themselves in this situation because of
Yeah.
them being a fuck up or a
Yeah.
criminal or whatever.
It kind of goes back to the whole J.K. Rowling thing, whereas they're not really. It's not that they're upset with this because this is what's actually happening. They're afraid of what this might represent or what they think this represents. Like with Eric Dyson, like he talked about like how race neutrality has failed us. So that's why he's taking this.
We've never tried it.
Yeah. Right. But he just.
We make everything about black and white.
Yeah. We count statistics. Everything
When
is
have we?
based off of those
The only
numbers.
time race is neutral is when you're like 6 years old.
Yeah.
You got white kids and black kids playing all day, and then the teenage years hit, and it's just I can't hang out with you anymore.
Sorry, Billy. Yeah, I hate your daddy for what he did to me and my family.
Catch you later, Jerron.
I'm from Ireland. But
My dad's Jewish and Polish.
we were persecuted. My dad's dead. He
My
died
grandmother
in
died in the Holocaust. My grandfather got out, remarried, and immigrated here.
Fuck your white privilege, you piece of shit. But yeah, like it's kind of like a false. So like they'll look at these with these they're afraid that these killings represent some kind of or a they believe critical, like he said. What did Eric Dyson say? I'm all jumbled. But he said something interesting about critical race theory. He said that he was quoting like the people who started it. He was saying this is where it came from. He was saying like this is what where all the hate against it is coming from, and for these reasons. And it's like, all right, that's pretty interesting, solid. And he's coming with like receipts for it, so to speak. Like, all right, cool. But the way that he described critical race theory, he says it's a way to liberate everybody from the conditions that enslave them. So like, oh, okay. So like,
But it doesn't.
yeah, like if you look at it that way, like it's like they're looking at it from the perspective
You
of.
can't do anything based off theories.
I mean,
Unless it's like a finite theory.
yeah, like you could
I don't know, like the theory of gravity or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I
well,
mean,
even that's not really. But like, because Einstein's like, no, gravity is a false force. It's not real. But it's like like how like you're sitting in a car and you stomp on the gas and you feel like you get flung back. But it's like you're not getting flung back. It just the car's moving fast, and then it takes your body time to catch up with the car. The way that Einstein's theory of relativity about space time, he says that gravity is like the negative force of space time. So it's like he's battling.
okay, I'm not talking about.
I know what you're saying, but yeah, I know like
Whatever,
a finite thing that's
like gravitational pull is gravitational pull. There's not an interpretation of what that potentially could be. It is what it is.
there's argument on that because that's all I'm saying. It's nuance, but
That would be
understand.
dependent on the planet and things. I'm saying like the planet that we're on has what it has.
Yeah.
From keeping us just floating away. Like there's an atmosphere.
Well, the way that just because we're unintelligent intellectuals, so we got the fish on there. So I gotta talk about Einstein a little bit.
Jesus Christ.
What he talks about is like,
Are we gonna go down a very long path that we don't need to go?
yeah, we really don't need to go down this.
We can go down it another time, and then I can be
we'll touch on
educated.
it. Yeah, we'll touch on it.
I
later.
shouldn't have picked something so controversial like the existence of gravity.
You and your white privilege, man. I hate. No, but I know what you're saying. Though you're talking about something that's like finite and something that everybody can kind of
Proper
universally
greetings.
accept. Yeah. As like this.
Proper
is what it
greetings.
is.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's a proper greeting.
Yeah,
You can't interpret that any other way than what it is.
It's ma'am. But
Just like what's up. Like what's up is an informal greeting.
Right. I follow. Yeah.
It can't be formal. It's an informal greeting to say what's up, what's happening.
Yeah. I think that the way that
Whereas the critical race theory is not. It's not like to say that it can help us get rid of whatever things that are from our past and our institutions or whatever. It's just absurd because it's such a multifunctional thing. Like there's too many factors at play. This isn't a binary thing where it's like 1 + 1 is not 3, 1 + 1 is 2.
Duh.
Right, but if you have like 1 + 1 and then like some hyphens and then some other notes and then there's all these other like symbols that I have no idea what they are that are in high level math. Then you can orchestrate it and work it in a way where maybe 1 + 1 is 3. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the finite numbers of having one apple and another apple, and then you have 2 apples. Like that's all we're getting into. Whereas so a theory is like this, like it can't. It's not going to have a simple outcome. It's going to have a bunch of different outcomes.
Yeah. But it's like it's attempting to simplify the complexity.
One of the most complicated things that the world has ever faced.
Yeah, man. But like they'll try to
and
it's like trying to make sense out of something.
It's not a mathematical equation.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Because it's all predicated off individuals and their viewpoint.
Yeah, they're trying to make a certain assertions. So based off of these assertions, then we can identify these are the problems and operate this way in order to have a solution to the problems, and now the world will be a better place. Yeah. So I mean, it's like I don't want to take away from like, all right, like it's okay to have a theory. It's okay to think that okay, this is how it is and this is how to break it down. But then you have to be.
But they're treating their theory as if it's fact.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think the problem is the dogmatic obsession with.
They're not. The problem is he's not saying these things could maybe help alleviate these certain issues.
Yeah,
he's literally saying like, if we follow this, we will find the chosen land. It's like, no, you're not.
Right. As opposed to just being like, all right, well, this is a theory that people came up with, and this is how it could be used, and this is an interesting take. Like, we could go about it this way. This is a contrary understanding and approach to the thing. I think if we can come together to work on things in a different way, I think we'll be able to find a solution between them. Maybe one will be right, maybe one will be wrong. That's like kind of a objective or an outside third party type of viewpoint of the whole thing. But instead of doing that, he's like hardcore for this, and that's why I'm just like I don't think he's so. He's not like really hardcore against like he's not railing against the polygamy thing as hard as he wants to, even though he kind of suggests it. He's just like, oh well, like
I don't like anybody that pushes for something that helps promote their career.
I follow that, and yeah.
Like you look at the history of like Darwin, right? Darwin wasn't trying to think of the theory of evolution because he really liked that sweet book deal that was going to come out of it. He was actually investigating and looking it up and be like, why do these birds have different beak points that are then actually, it's the same bird, but they have different beak growths. And there's, the way the insects are and the access to them changed. And then he looks at that and he's like, I wonder if maybe the beaks developed differently because the birds with beaks that were maybe a little bit more longer were then getting better bug access and they were then healthier, and then over a period of time, over like who knows how ever long, like that beak then grew and grew longer and longer because it was better at getting, and then it became like a different species of a sparrow. Yeah. And then he came up with it. Yeah. Like there are plenty of mathematicians and like people with all these like scientific theories who just like died poor because they weren't trying to like
create... for the betterment of society, not so or like to explore the thought of it.
Yeah, because they were really into this particular topic, so they delved into it and then came out with these concepts because of their interest in the subject. Yeah. Whereas like the person that talks about how great critical race theory is the person that has 5 books that are on critical race theory. Yeah. And they teach critical race theory at another college. Yeah. And they're trying to get that class to be taught at this college so that they can teach it.
Yeah, they're railing against, because like if you really think that way, like if you really think and like you want to just point so much attention to it and say things in such inflammatory ways and like take such a strong take against this thing, it's like, well, then like
This
you
should be
have to-
taught in your school's district, and I know who can write the curriculum for it.
Yeah. It's like
If you want to have
I
maybe a
could-
panel that I could oversee where we could talk about like the
Yeah.
improvements that we could make on our curriculum.
Me? What? I'll do it. I mean, if you want me to, yeah,
Because their careers are predicated off of the existence of their theory.
yeah, and it's just
It was like Einstein had a career.
yeah.
He didn't need to have some theory of his to exist in order for him to be who he is.
Yeah, and it's all. I think these are all like the. I mean, all of this shit, especially when it comes to races, they're all offshoots of going the W.B. Du Bois route as opposed to the Booker T. Washington route, where it's like instead of looking at it where it's like, all right, like we've, like let's markate these checkpoints where we've passed. Like we've passed this, we were able to end segregation, and we solved the unfair treatment of black people under these laws. It's like, all right, like this is something that was accomplished, and it's like, all right, cool. So this was accomplished, and we looked at things that way, and then we started seeing like things that black people are still disadvantaged, and we're just like, oh, well, this is a problem, and so since this is a problem, this is the way we fixed it before. Let's use these same tools in order to fix this new problem right here. Because we're still disenfranchised. Yeah, we need to fight against the person, and that's kind of it's an oversimplification of the problem as opposed to looking at it like, all right, we were able to accomplish these things. Like, okay, how come? What was the benefit of ending segregation? It's like the benefit was.
I'm still trying to think of it.
Well, like the two big things. Like if we were able to at least dive it into two different things. Like it gave.
Well, it opens up thought.
Yeah, it allowed for
not-
the diversity of like people being diversified, like different people going to school together, and then it also allowed
Increases your educated population.
yeah, well, it allowed the big thing was the money, access to money, because like it wasn't that these black schools are terrible because the black teachers are teaching them the wrong things. It's because under the system like it was separate but unequal. If it was actually equal, then it's like well maybe things would have been even better because the problem that we're having now is like with one of the issues is we're more diverse and we have more access to money. But then there were people who were racist who set up things in order to disadvantage
Stinky poos.
Yeah, stinky poos who messed up lives for people that they didn't like just based off their skin color, and so like that was pretty fucked up. And now we're still facing the fighting the ghost of that. But instead of oversimplifying all that as this is institutional racism, instead of looking at it as all right, well, this access to money, we were shorted the opportunity to have this for these reasons because of this person and whatever. Like we can overcome that by pulling our resources together and doing this in a unified way. Now we're disjointed, us being like as in black people, like we're disjointed, so we're not able to pull together like we were before. Like now it's forced integration as opposed to just desegregation, where it's like, hey, if you want to be with your own kind, you can. If you want to integrate into society, with other people from different places, you can. But we're going to make sure that you have access to money. If we had that, arguably, I think it would be a better system. And that's kind of what I think people are trying to get to now. Like that, the whole reason why they're trying to segregate the classrooms in order to have black people work together. But still, even with that, it's like it's too late for that. Like now we're already living in an integrated society. So now if we try to segregate people based off of race, then it's just a callback to the thing that you said that you wanted to fight in the first place. Because you're saying that these institutions are inherently racist, then you can't create another institution contrary to that by being inherently racist. Well, we've been dancing around all over the place, man. But this last...
We've had some ADD.
Yeah. Whole lot of it today.
A whole ton of concern.
But like in this last part, in this show, like Dyson, my bad. He's kind of like poking at like I don't really like as long as you have these things and he even talked about the family structure like hey if you have stability, intimacy, respect, and trust like that's all you need that's all good and like whatever tool, whatever car you need in order to get you to that destination, he's all for it because like I mean he's like he's a minister, but again he's like progressive, like accepting of different like of the LGBT community, and it's just like oh if you want to raise a family, have two moms, two dads, like he's all for it. Yeah, like he's trying to come across as accepting, but you can tell his reservations at least with this with against polygamy, but instead of like railing against it like he does with CRT or for it, vice versa.
We were talking about how like polygamy, it's almost like a male thing.
And she says like, "Oh, patriarchy," and but it's like, I mean, honestly, it could be either or. Like, I mean, there could.
I was telling this girl that like the example. It's like if 5 of us are getting with you, and you get pregnant, like you think all 5 of us are just gonna stay with you, and we're just gonna communally raise your kid.
Yeah.
That makes like no sense. Whereas if I was a dude and I have a chick, and then there's another chick, and then I get like the extra chick pregnant, it's like I can raise your kid. Like you can still have a family.
It'll be different. I guess it's the.
Like I don't know if you're gonna move in, but like.
I guess the circumstance matters because like if you're like with this girl and you didn't know that she was with 4 other guys and she got pregnant, you're just like, oh nah.
Well, then you're just getting caught up.
Yeah, like as opposed
but
to like
if you're in like an open,
if everybody was.
If you know like you're in like, I have this many people.
Yeah, and everybody's open and honest with each other. Then it depends. Like if they're open and honest with that, then the conversation about kids must have come up at some point. And then like maybe they're in an environment where they would be doing they would be open to doing that, but it's so circumstantial. I don't think it's a strictly female versus male thing, but I think you touched on something important where they have to be open to the idea of is that something that's desirable for the opposite sex? Are they going to be attracted to somebody who's with 4 other guys? And like, would you want to be with somebody who's with 4 other girls? And if the answer is no to both those things, then it doesn't make sense to be in a polygamous relationship. But it's like this last part was kind of interesting because it's he's kind of like he's hinting at like nah, this is what I don't think the polygamy thing is good because what about the kids? And she's kind of and then she kind of. Well, I'll just.
What's the effect of observing these kind of polyamorous relationships on young people? Does it destabilize them? Does it give them a greater sense of participation? I'd love to see what the kind of material effects would be of that kind of togetherness.
Have there been studies on that?
There has been studies. So in this book called The New Psychology of Love, which I want to say I'm not a doctor because labels matter. I may be a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. But in The New Psychology of Love, they cite studies that say that children actually do grow up when they understand polyamory as a part of the way that the relationship functions. It's not a kept secret, that they can be just as happy and just as adjusted as monogamous couples.
And I was like, okay, so at best, you might be just as good as you would be in a monogamous relationship, and at worst, you'd be a little less mentally satisfied. Like I don't think that like I haven't throughout this entire show. I haven't seen one argument, one point. Well, no, that's not true. There's only 2 points that she made about the reason why to be polygamous versus monogamous, and one of them was you got to fight the patriarchy, and the other one was you got to fight white normativism.
Gotta fight it.
And but we already talked last time about how being monogamous isn't white normativity. It's settling down the normativity. It's.
Are you talking about the nuclear family?
Yeah. It's just anti-nomadic.
The rejection of the Western proposed.
Yeah. But I don't
concept of a 2-parent household. It's like, all right, yeah, because the Congo really got it right.
Yeah. What's wild? Malcolm X was talking about back in the day, of course, but when the reason why he still advocated for Islam even though he was shunned out of the Brotherhood and after the whole thing with Elijah Muhammad, he was like, well, like I like what this do for black people. It got black people off of drugs. It got black people to focus on the family structure. It got black people to be whatchamacallit, habituated into a structured way of living, into pursuing education. Like it did all these things for black people. I was like, okay, like that's a solid argument for Islam, but it's like I don't hear a solid argument for polygamy. Like I don't understand what her take is. Like I mean, we've already destroyed the whole white normative thing, but it's like I don't understand the patriarchal. Like what is she talking about? Fighting against the patriarchy?
Well, because they're all connected.
Like I find it.
What are you talking about? You mean in the terms of the relationship?
Yeah.
How do you not get that?
What's she talking about, man? I'm done.
I already explained it to you last week.
Yeah. Oh, is this the whole the caste system?
No, this is how the man is usually viewed to be the one who has the multiple partners.
Okay. But then
That's because it's not normal for the woman to have multiple partners.
but is she advocating for she's advocating
It's
for
a
polygamy,
patriarchal structure.
but she's advocating for polygamy in general. She's not advocating for
Yes, but polygamy has roots in patriarchy. You're assuming that patriarchy is racism.
Am I? I don't know. Like, but she's saying
You're using it as a negative term. It's an identifying term that women use to be negative. Patriarchy is just a thing that is male dominated in how it's run.
Okay, so
Matriarchy is female.
Right.
So if the history of polygamy was a woman would be with 4 or 5 different guys, then that would be a matriarch.
Okay. But that's not.
Women view anything that has.
But
men,
that isn't. But that's not the history, though.
Yes, it is.
But in polygamous relationship, it's like
The history is men. Yes.
Well, yeah, but like
Men having multiple wives. That is the history of. That's the history.
Yeah, but she said that she's trying to be polygamous in order to fight the patriarchy. So like she's trying to fight.
No, she talked about it being patriarchal.
Really? Okay. So maybe
she's fighting against the norms. You're reading too much into this.
Okay, because I thought so she's not talking about polygamy in general fights against the patriarchy.
Level.
She's saying that her personal choice in order to be polygamous is fighting against the patriarchy.
She's saying her existence in polygamy and having another partner would be against the
patriarchal norms. Okay.
Because she's been indoctrinated that anything that is dominated or run by men is inherently bad.
Okay, but
because it excludes women, which isn't always necessarily the case.
Okay.
The reason why, I mean, I already explained it.
Yeah.
The reason why it's polyamorous relationships are male dominated is because the male makes money and then he can then have these families and then, well, I can provide a life for you and a life for you and a life for you and a life for you. Like a woman can't provide a life for 5 men.
Yeah.
Because what if those 5 men want families? We're just going to keep knocking her up consistently. Like her entire existence is just going to be giving birth to alternating our kids.
Well, like Queen Bee, right? Or no, the ant.
She couldn't physically do it. Like she would die.
Yeah, she's just sitting around and at the same time simultaneously providing for the families. Yeah, it doesn't seem sustainable.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it's a more of a patriarchal thing. It's because as long as I got the money to provide a life for 10 women, I can have 10 women.
So
if I can provide a life for those 10 women having 5 kids, guess what? I can do it because I can provide it.
Yeah, so I follow that, but that's because of the way that the plumbing is hardwired at birth, not because of men are like trying to dominate the
exactly.
The field.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She's indoctrinated to think that anything that is a male-centered thing is bad. That's patriarchal.
So is she? It's her
Like,
understanding.
okay, like
do you think?
this
her
isn't a hot
understanding-
take, but
Oh, I was about to say, do you think that her, like, she's trying to fight against the
it's.
She-
do you think she's an intelligent person?
I'm
You're treating her
I'm-
like she's fucking Genghis Khan,
I'm trying to
like mapping out this like plot to like expand an empire.
Well, like if she feels this way, it's
It's
like
low-level
flesh out.
thought.
It's just
That's what all of this is.
like that's what I'm saying. Like I imagine having a conversation with her, and I would say like, okay, so do you think by you being in polygamous relationships and encouraging other women to be in polygamous relationships that you are fighting against the patriarchal norm, that you're making conditions better for women? Like I think that's the question that I would. That's
She
kind of what
doesn't-
I'm stemming to. Like, cause I'm trying to find out how she gets from here to like how does she think that this is the ideal?
We've already established that she has put no real thought into anything.
I think I'm just poking at her then. I'm being passive aggressively calling her an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm a dick.
I'm like, you are putting her on way too high of a thought pattern.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little too passive aggressive to be nice.
You're like, she can't really think that this.
Yeah, that's mean. I'll
So
stop.
James, are you saying that it can go this route if she thinks this way? And I'm like,
You know what? This is fun. I'm gonna do this over just to rile you up.
Because for a second I was like, he can't be
Like this motherfucker.
And then I'm like, oh, I see what he's fucking. They can't possibly be thinking this way.
Oh man. Yeah, that was fun. All right.
Another one bites the dust.
Toodles. Au revoir.